Screams of excitement echo through Orlando's Icon Park as the ride ascends the world's tallest freestanding drop tower. The round vehicle rotates as it rises 430 feet high. With every second, the guests get more excited. Once they reach the top, they will be dropped into a freefall to experience the ultimate adrenaline rush. There's a kid on the ride, however, that seems to lack enthusiasm. He's frightened, and for a good reason. He feels something's wrong. After a brief pause at a daunting height, the ride begins to fall. The free fall lasts for just a couple of seconds before magnetic brakes engage. When the ride finally returns to the ground, the frightened kid is gone. His seat is empty. As realization sets in, other guests can be heard screaming in panic. A park visitor recorded a video of the incident, which quickly spread on social media. This accident occurred at the Orlando Drop Tower on March 24, 2022. The official investigation is ongoing. For now, it is impossible to pinpoint the cause of the accident. So instead, we will look at what's confirmed about the circumstances. Drop towers are categorized as super rides, the ultimate attraction of amusement parks worldwide. A lure for thrill seekers and adrenaline junkies, they offer the excitement that can't be found in ordinary joyrides. That's what makes them super rides, after all. But apart from excitement, super rides are not without risks to riders. Very often there's a thin line between these two. At Icon Park on International Drive in Orlando, Florida, the Freefall Tower has been one of the most popular attractions since its opening in December of 2021. The ride ascends to a height of 430 feet. At the top, the seats tilt forward by 30 degrees before plummeting nearly 400 feet towards the ground. During the drop, riders experience an astonishing speed of 75 miles per hour. It was manufactured by the renowned amusement ride company from Austria, Fun Time Rides, and was operated by the Slingshot Group. As Coaster College on YouTube has pointed out, there have been 2 further recent incidents at Slingshot's rides. In September of 2020, a maintenance worker died after falling off Icon Park's Orlando Starflyer. Then, months later in March 2021, a cable snapped on the Slingshot ride at Old Town in Kissimmee due to suspected operator error. So now, one can ask if these were isolated events, or if there's possibly a pattern of safety issues with the Slingshot Group. When Tyree Sampson came to ride the drop tower on March 24, 2022, it had been in operation for only 3 months. As the park's latest attraction, everyone was eager to try it, so was Tyree. Tick, as his friends called him, was an exemplary 14-year-old boy from St. Louis, Missouri, who was visiting Orlando for a football program. He was a promising talent with high hopes of establishing a career in the sport. At his age, Tyree was just a kid who wanted to play football and have fun. Icon Park seemed like the perfect place to go. However, there was a slight problem that prevented Tyree from enjoying his visit. He was a pretty big boy for a 14-year-old at 6 foot 5 inches tall and 340 pounds. For this reason, he had been turned away from 2 rides at the park, including the Giant Slingshot, another top-rated attraction. But Tyree was determined to go on one of the super rides and tried his luck at the drop tower around 11:30 p.m. Surprisingly, he was allowed to take one of the 30 seats. A friend who came with him also went for a ride. Being a big kid, Tyree was feeling uncomfortable in his seat. The vehicle ascended and reached the top 430 feet above the ground. Then, as it was unhooked, it began to freefall. About 5 seconds and 400 feet later, the ride started to slow down under the force of the magnets. At this height, Tyree dropped out of his seat and fell to the ground. The park crew rushed to the scene, but there was little they could do. Almost immediately, a local 911 operator received a call from a disturbed witness reporting that someone had fallen off a ride at Icon Park. It didn't take long for paramedics to arrive and transport the boy to the hospital. But it was too late. Tyree Sampson died from his injuries. The same night, firefighters and law enforcement officers shut down the ride. On the next day, March 25th, an inspector from the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Affairs arrived at the scene to check the safety of the drop tower. especially of the seat from which Tyree Sampson fell. Once in a seat, riders on the freefall tower are held in place by hydraulic over-the-shoulder restraints. These contain the rider firmly, leaving no room for movement once locked. It was found that the restraint on Tyree's place was in a down position and locked when the ride stopped. The inspector sat in the seat, checked that the restraint engaged properly, and even applied force on it to see if it would give way. Everything was recorded to be in the correct order, despite the obvious fact that the victim fell out of his seat. It is worth mentioning that every seat at the drop tower is equipped with a proximity sensor that detects if the restraint is in the correct position and lock. A green light above the seat turns on only when the sensor detects the restraint. The ride vehicle is programmed to be unable to ascend unless all riders are locked in their seats. This means that the restraint was detected as properly closed when the accident happened. Moments after the fall, operators were heard discussing whether the seat was locked. One then confirms that everything was in order by clearly stating that the light had been on.
I don't know. Did you check it? Yeah, the light was on. You checked it? Yeah. You guys are sure you checked it? We did, yeah. The light was on.
However, it remains unclear if the crew checked the restraint manually to ensure they were engaged correctly, a procedure listed in the operating manual. Before the tower first opened in December 2021, officials inspected the ride and found no defects on any of the systems included. Since it was a brand new ride, the following inspection was scheduled for 6 months, that is June 2022, 3 months after the tragedy. To understand what factors contributed to the accident, particular attention has been paid to the ride's operating manual and the listed requirements for riders in particular. It states a maximum weight limit of 286 pounds. Late Tyree Sampson was, as mentioned, a big kid and weighed 340 pounds, about 50 pounds above the limit. The drop tower's manual explicitly tells operators to, quote, be careful when seeing if large guests fit into the seats. Check that they fit within the contours of the seat and the bracket fits properly. If this is not so, do not let this person ride. And for a good reason, that is. Once the ride enters freefall, guests experience intense G-forces that would lift them out of their seats, making a properly closed shoulder restraint crucial. In the days following the accident, amusement ride safety experts came forward, calling out that the drop tower's design didn't include any seat belts connecting the shoulder restraints to the bottom of the seat. Some freefall rides at major amusement parks include a seat belt in addition to over-the-shoulder harnesses. However, Funtime Rides quotes a safety certification stating that the restraint system is adequate. Quote, it has 2 independent locking devices, and the shoulder restraints are monitored. It is no need for extra safety or seatbelt because the seat and restraint system fulfill more than the requirements. Following the accident, Icon Park demanded Slingshot Group close all of its rides in the park, including the Slingshot. The rides will be closed until a joint investigation of the Orange County Sheriff's Office and the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services is completed. This investigation aims to determine if the tragedy resulted from design flaws, operator error, or other shortcomings. The outcome of the investigation, whatever it may be, surely won't ease the pain caused by the premature death of a fine young man who just wanted to have a ride of his life. Watch this episode next if you found this video interesting. Please add a like and leave a comment if you want to support the channel.